For the next couple of months, this is gonna be my home. I just brought the bare essentials, a laptop, a few pieces of gear, and I have a view that's absolutely priceless. An open road ahead, filled with new sounds, new ideas, and new ways of working. Hi, my name is Lo. I'm a composer with more than 20 years of experience, and every trip I go on, I've always built a different setup. This time I'm in Nicaragua, and I think this might be the most inspiring setup yet. I'll walk you through my setup in a minute, but first let me explain to you why I think it's so important to travel with a minimal yet powerful setup and how it changed the way I write my music. Over the years, I've brought a lot of different setups for the places I went to, each time tailored to the energy of the location or the job that I'm doing at the moment. Why do I love traveling so much while working? Well, traveling always throws you curveballs. Unexpected beauty, unexpected challenges. You meet people you would never cross paths with in normal life. And every place smells different, tastes different, sounds different, and those experiences have been wildly inspiring in how I write my music. For example, I've recorded musicians in the Philippines playing hand-built instruments and playing the most complex rhythms I've ever heard. But when I asked them to follow a metronome and start at the one, they had absolutely no idea what I was talking about. I've captured bells in Buddhist temples in the mountains of northern Thailand and recorded a broken piano in Shenzhen, China. I've built samplers out of all of them, and all of them still live in my template. I know no one else has these sounds. That's what makes traveling with a good setup so valuable. You're not just making music, you're building a library of experiences and tones that stay with you forever. Alright, enough about why. Let's dive into what I brought on this trip. And what are the choices I made this time around? Well, I gave myself one rule. Everything I bring needs to fit in one backpack. I'm traveling with my family, and honestly, bringing my 3-year-old step bike took way more priority than bringing something like my iLoud speakers, which I normally take. So here we have the setup for this year. Let's start up with the most important thing, which will be the laptop. I got the 15-inch MacBook Air. I made a video about this over here. The last couple of trips I've done with my Mac Studio, but after doing a test on this device last month, I think this laptop is more than good enough to bring decent results and have full-on professional recordings going. And to prove that to you guys and to myself, I left the Mac Studio at home, and this is what I'm rocking for the next couple of months. Then, now that this is open, I will show you, I always have a whole bunch of these simple computer stands. I bought a bunch of these over the time. I use them all the time in my setup desk at home as well. I like synths to be on an angle. When they're flat, you can't read the knobs, you can't see what's going on. So I use them for synths, for whatever I have laying around. Simple stands. And these flat ones, they're super lightweight, they're small, they fit in your back. Absolutely fantastic for your ergonomics. It just works really well. Next to the computer, the most important thing, headphones, the ears of the studio. As I said, normally I bring the IK Multimedia travel speakers. They're actually really good. This time I did not have the room for it. And also, even if I bring those, the final mixes I will always do on the Technics, what are they called? ATH-M50x. Why do I bring these guys? Are they the best headphones you can get? Absolutely not. But to me, there's a couple of things that work for them. That is, they sound good. They're pretty flat. They have a boost in the low end, which makes it nice to listen to, but for mixing, not always great, but as long as you know that, it works for you. Another thing is, I have been mixing on these for 10+ years. This is my 3rd set, I think, over time. And they're just good. They do the job. I know them very well. I know how they translate to other rooms. That's the whole thing. You got to know your equipment. At home, at my home studio, I have better headphones than I use, but they are not good for traveling. These guys, they rock. They're super strong. Their jack is just a normal stereo mini jack, so there's no proprietary cables. And another thing that I find really important about these guys is, like, if you're traveling and they break on you, if you go to find a local music store and they have 3 pairs of headphones in stock, I swear to God, one of them will be this. So it's the easiest one to pick up wherever you are in the world. I might have bought this pair in Thailand, and because my last pair I left on the plane. But that proves that you can get them anywhere. They sound more than decent. Everybody uses them. Great all-round headphones. The next and most important thing is your converter. I brought the Zoom H6. This is normally not used for converters. It's a field recorder, but you can set it up as a converter. I brought some microphones and I want to do a bunch of field recordings on this trip, so I needed to bring a field recorder anyways. Another standard converter like the Focusrite Scarlett or whatever they're called would be great, but you know what? This does the job. And now I have a converter with me and a recorder that I can take on the road. I have 4 preamps. I can record 4 microphones at once. I don't need much more than that. So the Zoom H6 is it for converter this trip. My keys. This is always the problem. You need something small. Small keyboards are never great. I brought the Arturia MicroLab. This thing is built like a tank. This is a great little keyboard, not too much to be said about it. It doesn't have no sequencers, it's nothing, it's just a keyboard for ramming in some notes. It does the job very well. Because I often switch between DAWs, and although I have tried to make all my shortcuts uniform between all the DAWs, it doesn't always work. So I brought the Elgato Stream Deck. This is so I have a whole bunch of shortcuts right here on the go. It makes my workflow just so much faster. And if I'm working in one DAW for a month and a half and then I'm switching to the other DAW, my ADHD brain doesn't work that way. So having all my shortcuts under the buttons here and they work the same in every DAW gives me a lot more brain space to actually focus on the music that I want to make. Synth-wise, I brought the Arturia Microfreak. This is such a fun little beast. I always love playing around on this synth. Great for sound design, coming up with new ideas. I think I'm gonna make another video on this soon. So that will be coming. And it's just a fucking great all-around synth. Can't say much more about it. Okay. Then I always bring an extra fun thing to play around with. Something that's great for sound design, but not your regular go-to synth. This time around I brought the Noise Strega. This is one of the noisiest synths you can find. I really love this thing and I want to play around more with it. The problem in my studio at home is I got so many other things, so many distractions. Now it's only these 2 guys that I have. This will force me to play around with this synth more, and I want to see if I can get actually some normal sounding sounds out of the Strega, because it's very easy to make super noisy weird shit, but I want to learn how to tame this beast. So that is one of the things I'm going to do on this trip. And then I lied to you a little bit. I said everything that I was going to bring is going to fit in my backpack. Well, I also bought a boom pole that clearly does not fit in the backpack. But I brought a broom pole and a set of Lewit LCT 40s. I am planning on this trip to do a whole bunch of wild recordings, and having a set of stereo mics is great for that. I want to record a bunch of nature sounds, and I want to focus on recording some convolution reverbs. A stereo set of microphones is great for that, and the Lewits are sounding incredibly good. Also, if I meet another instrumentalist, a stereo pair of these 90% of the time does the job. I'm not going to record no electric guitars with that or something like that, but I don't think I'm going to need it, and if so, I might see if I can find a studio close by and we can rent that for a couple of hours and work it out that way. So for microphones, the Lewit LCT 40s. This is my Nicaragua travel setup. If you have any questions about the setup or any of the products, please let me know in the comments, and I'll see you next time.